Good evening, everybody. It's Friday night, September the 1st, 2023. I'm Mason Spesky, your host, and welcome to Week 1 High School Football WPIAL Preview. Last week, we had some pretty interesting games, especially with my alma mater, Hempfield, blowing out Greensburg-Salem, Latrobe blowing out Derry, Mount Lebanon surprisingly beating Gateway by as much as they did. And there were a lot of other interesting games all around the WPIAL. But now we move on to officially week 1 of the 2023 WPIAL football season. This is like when the records start to count and all that. Your section record, though, is ultimately what determines if you make the WPIAL playoffs, which start in November or not. So it will be interesting, to say the least. First off, tonight we're going to start with a battle on the western side of Allegheny County, which is where the city of Pittsburgh is. And these two teams are actually right by our airport, actually out in Moon Township. And it's the Moon Area Tigers hosting the Montour Spartans. This will be an interesting game, especially since they're close by each other. It's a nice little rivalry night to open up the season. But I'm going to have to take Montour winning this one just because I believe they have the stronger team. They have the better team, and I think Montour will win this one. Next up, we have Solaroy at California. Another rivalry with close proximity, as California and Solaroy aren't that far away from each other down in the Mon Valley part of southwestern Pennsylvania. This will be a really good game for sure. California won last week. I forget who they played. I didn't see that. Solaroy is playing its first game. They must not have played a week 0 game. But I think Solaroy is going to come out strong tonight. And I think Solaroy is going to get the upset done on the road. I'm going to take Solaroy to win this one. Next up, we have an interesting game for sure up in Avonworth, with Avonworth hosting Central Valley. This will be a really, really tight game for sure. I think it's going to come down to the wire ultimately. It's going to be a high-scoring game. It's going to be an interesting game. It's going to be a fast game. And I think it's going to come down to the wire, but I believe Avonworth will be the team that pulls this one out. This will be a really good game tonight. It's Mount Lebanon and Bethel Park. This is going to be a fun one for sure. Both teams won last week. Mount Lebanon beat Gateway. I forget who Bethel Park beat, though. But I'm going to have to go with the Blue Devils in this one. They played very well last week against Gateway, who obviously is a top team in Class 5A. In case you didn't realize this, right now the WPIAL divides class for football and football only, I think. I don't know about the other sports, but I just know about football, cross country, basketball, baseball, those kind of things. But for football, the WPIAL divides schools into 6 classes based off how many boys are a member of each school. So Class 6A is the highest class you could be in. I don't know the exact numbers, but there's only 5 schools in that class, and those are the ones with the most population. Then it goes down to 5A, 4A, 3A, 2A, 1A, which is the lowest. When I was at Hempfield, we started out my freshman, sophomore, and junior year. We were in 6A with the highest schools, but then we decided to drop down to 5A because our population narrowly missed the cut. So that was interesting for sure, getting to see a lot of the 6A schools play. I didn't get to see too much of Mount Lebanon because we always played Mount Lebanon on the road when I was there. But I saw them before, way back when. But Mount Lebanon played Gateway, who's the top team in 5A, which is second highest conference, very well. Last week they beat them 28-7. I expected that though, because obviously, like I said, Lebo's 6A, and so it was a 6A against the 5A on the 6A's home field. Who doesn't expect the 6A to win? So Lebo got that win, but I still was surprised it was by that much because Gateway is very good and they have the potential to play 6A teams well. It just didn't happen last week. But in this one against Bethel Park, I'm going to take Mount Lebanon for sure. Start tuning. Keystone Oaks at South Park. This will be an interesting one for sure. Both the teams won last week. South Park, I know, is expecting to be pretty good this year. They've typically had a good football program in years past. I don't know if they've been good the past couple years or not. Keystone Oaks, I know, somewhat good. I actually am going to pick a surprise upset here. I'm going to pick Keystone Oaks to beat South Park in this game. Now on to this one. This will be an interesting class for sure. So 6A, 2 of the 5 6A schools play tonight. Cannon Mac against North Allegheny in Class 6A at North Allegheny. In case you don't know much about Southwestern Pennsylvania athletics, North Allegheny is like the star program of the area. It's the most populated school district in our area. It has great sports teams in every district, or in every sport. It's like the model athletic program for all schools. So they're they're also one of the best athletic programs in the state. They also have really good academics. It's a wealthy area north of the city of Pittsburgh. It's called Wexford. But tonight they host Cannon Mac. This is going to be a close game, surprisingly, I think, because Cannon Mac's played really well in prior years, especially last year in the playoffs when they played North Allegheny. But I still can't go against North Allegheny in this one. I'm going to take the Tigers to win this one. And in case anybody around here doesn't know, the 5 schools in WPIAL Football Class 6A are Cannon Mac, Pittsburgh Central Catholic, because they have a really good football team. They're able to recruit from all over since they're a Catholic school, but they're really good at football, so they're 6A. Also 6A is Mount Lebanon, North Allegheny, and Sanka Valley. Sorry if that Central Catholic comment upset it or offended anybody too, by the way, but those are the 5 schools in Class 6A. 4 of them will make the playoffs, so one team's the odd team out. It's likely going to be Seneca Valley or Cannon Mac this year. We'll get into that more closer, though, to the playoffs, but I think North Allegheny beats Cannon Mac to win this one. Now, if Cannon Mac can pull off this upset tonight, I highly doubt they're the one odd team out because North Allegheny's good, and so this game's going to be very interesting for 6A football fans. One last game before we get to our game of the week. Beaver Falls at Beaver. This will be interesting because they're both right by each other in Beaver County. So this is like a little backyard brawl here in itself. I'm going to have to take Beaver Falls in this one. They've always had a good football program, even though this game's at Beaver High School. Or Beaver's hosting it. I don't know if it's at Beaver High School exactly. I'd have to imagine it's at Beaver High School exactly. But I'm going to take Beaver Falls to win this game. They have a good team, and I think they're going to come out strong. So give me Beaver Falls. Now on to our game of the week, the last game I'm going to do. The Penn Trafford Warriors at the McKeesport Tigers. This has always been a big football rivalry because historically both PT and McKeesport have been very good at football. However, PT lost last week in their game at home, Warrior Stadium in Penn Trafford, to Cannon McMillan, who we just talked about a couple minutes ago. So they're 0-1. McKeesport, I forget who they played, but they won last week. They're 1-0. This game is in McKeesport. It's going to be super interesting. If Penn Trafford loses this game tonight, some people might make the case that their football program, is starting to experience a downward slope here, or starting their downward slope after a state championship a couple years back. They had this really good running back. His name was Cade Yakimelli. He's a year older than me. I remember watching him when Penn Trafford played Hempfield back in 2021 at Warrior Stadium. He is an absolute beast. He destroyed our team, unfortunately. We lost that game. It was something like 49-7-ish, but yeah, he's currently a sophomore at the University of Wisconsin, so he's on the Wisconsin Badgers football team. I hope he gets a lot of playing time this year because it would be really cool to see him make the NFL. I definitely think he has that potential, especially looking at Wisconsin players and like where they've been drafted. And I've noticed this in recent years. A lot of Wisconsin Badger players have been drafted to the Steelers. When you look back, obviously that started with TJ Watt. The effect he's had on our defense has been terrific. And we also recently have drafted Isaiah Loudermilk, Keanu Benton, and Nick Herbig. They're all poised to play major roles on the Steelers' defense this year. So maybe Cade Yakimelli, the local boy, will be the next Wisconsin player drafted to the Steelers. Hopefully, fingers crossed. But tonight, his team faces his alma mater faces a tough one against McKeesport. It will be interesting for sure, to say the least, what happens in this game. I'm going to have to take the McKeesport Tigers to win this game. It's in McKeesport. They're the better team right now. And so I am going to have to take McKeesport Tigers. Anyway, that's all I have for you guys tonight. I'm going to try tomorrow morning to do a recap video of the games tonight. I'm going to be watching my alma mater, Hempfield. They play a big game tonight at Connellsville, so I'll be watching that on my computer. But I'll try to get to some highlights. And tomorrow morning, I will also have my first Pick Game Day pregame and postgame, and also some more college football score predictions and all that. That's coming tomorrow. Hopefully you guys have a good one. Get ready for the ride. It's going to be fun. Have a good night. Stay safe. Enjoy some high school football. Peace.